Alright, let's look at homework 11.9, problem number 4. Alright, so we want to use partial fraction decomposition first, then find the power series from there. Alright, so let's do that. Alright, so we have to split this into two smaller fractions. Alright, so it's going to be, I'm going to call it A over and B over something. Alright, so if you factor out the denominator, you will get, let's see, 2x here and x, because we have to make a 2x squared. Alright, then we need to make negative 10, so I'll probably put, say, minus 10 here, and then positive 1. That work. 1 times negative 10 is negative 10. 2 times negative 10 is negative 20 plus 1 negative 19. So it works out. Alright, then we can just put them back together. Alright, so just multiply them together. So you have a 2x plus 1 times x minus 10. Alright, so you have a times x minus 10. Plus b times 2x plus 1. Right? So since the denominators are exactly the same, we have to match the numerators. So x plus 11 and a times quantity x minus 10 plus b times quantity 2x plus 1, they must be the same. All right? So let's find a here, right? To find a, I'm going to actually just plug in x equals negative 1/2. That way, you can have a 0 here, so b goes away, all right? So it's going to be negative 1/2 minus 10 would be negative 21 over 2. A is equal to, if you plug in negative 1/2 there, so 11 minus negative 1/2 is 21 over 2. Alright, so you can see that if you multiply by negative 2 over 21, you get a equals negative 1. Alright, then x equals 10. We'll get rid of a. So you will get 2 times 10 plus 1, so it's a 21b is equal to 10 plus 11, so it's 21. Alright, then we can just divide through by 21 to find the b value. So b value is going to be equal to 1. Alright, so f of x can be written as, so this is going to be equal to, right? A is negative 1, so I'm going to write a is negative 1, so I'm going to write it this way. So it's a negative sign in front because it's negative 1. Alright, and I'm going to put 1 first, and I'm going to do a double negative trick. So it's a negative minus 2x. Alright, and the b is 1, so 1 over x minus 10. I'm going to pull out, let's say, negative 1 over 10. All right, this way, I'm going to have 1. All right, so if you pull out the negative 10 from the denominator, you're going to get negative x over 10. All right, then you get 1 here. All right. Then we can find the power series for these guys. So it's going to be a negative sign. This is going to be a summation and goes from 0 to infinity. So you have a negative 2x to the n. Right? Then you have a minus 1 over 10. Right here is going to be a summation and goes from 0 to infinity. And then you have x over 10 to the n. Alright, so let's simplify this. So we're going to get, so it's a summation. So let's write it as a single summation. And it goes from 0 to infinity, right? So you're going to have negative 2 to the n, then x to the n, minus, right? So this is going to be x to the n, right? Then you have a over 10 to the n plus 1, right? So we can consolidate those guys, and you're going to get, let's see, I'm going to actually put the negative sign here. So it's a summation, and it goes from 0 to infinity. Right, I'm going to put, let's see, negative sign here. Then you would have negative 2 to the n, right? And plus 1 over 10 to the n plus 1, x to the n, right? So let's see if it works. Let's type it in first. So I'm going to go here, right? All right, so what we got was, let's see, parenthesis. All right, so you have a negative, negative 2 to the n, right? Then you have a minus 1 over 10 to the n plus 1, and then you have x to the n, right? So let's see if this is correct. Submit for testing. All right, we got the first part correctly. Now we want to find the interval of convergence, right? So interval convergence, it's pretty easy to find it, because here, this is the R value. So we want to make sure that the absolute value of negative 2x is less than 1. So that's the first condition. And the second condition would be, right, this is another R value for the second one. So we have to make sure that the absolute value of x over 10 has to be less than 1. Right? So from here, we can just divide by 2. Right? Negative sign, you can just scratch that out because of the absolute value sign. So you have an absolute value of x is less than 1/2. Right? And which means that this is going to give you interval from negative 1 over 2 to positive 1 over 2. All right, but here we multiply by 10. So absolute value of x is less than 10, which gives us the negative 10 to positive 10. All right, so we have to pick the smaller one. So this is, or maybe I should say, intersection of those two. So we know that it's going to be negative 1/2 to positive 1/2. All right, so let's type it in. So interval of convergence is negative 1/2 to positive 1/2. All right. Let's check the answer. All right. Submit for testing. All right. We got the interval of convergence correctly as well. All right. That's it. I hope that this was clear.